Very good morning, everybody. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Paul, and I've come with my chaperone Sam, who is my son. We've had a lovely drive up, haven't we? Listening to magic, as we always do when you're in the car. And
Sometimes Dave's talking at once.
sometimes it's talking if I still listen to my stuff. So I've called the theme of this today is the masks that we wear. And so as I like the chalice, let us stop for a moment in the light of the chalice and reflect that maybe that light can shine on the real us, if it can find us behind the masks that sometimes we create, not only to hide ourselves from other people, but to hide ourselves from ourselves. And as I was preparing for this service, I was reading about the Venice Carnival, you know, where they wear the masks. And the idea originally of the mask was to protect people's identities so that those who were well known could go out and not be known, and those who were poorer could be whoever they chose to be. That's what it began. But of course, what it became was an opportunity to do naughty things when nobody knew it was you. So that was an interesting thought I had on masks. So I just want, maybe as we begin this service, to ask ourselves, what masks do we wear? What masks do we wear to hide the real us? About over 30 years ago now, I was in As You Like It. I was the clown Touchstone. So I got fond of that play, and I think there's a famous speech in As You Like It by Jaques about the world being a stage, everybody playing a different part. So the idea is that you're not just you're playing a part. So I thought this could be our first reading. You'll recognise at least the first line. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first, the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms. Then the whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face, creeping like a snail unwillingly to school. And then the lover, sighing like furnace with a woeful ballad made to his mistress' eyebrow. And a soldier, full of strange oaths and bearded like the pard, jealous in honour, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation, even in the cannon's mouth. And then the justice, in fair round belly, with good capon lined, with eyes severe and beard full of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances. And so he plays his part. 6th age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose well served, the world too wide for his shrunk shank, and his big manly voice turning again towards childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all that ends this strange eventful history is second childishness and mere oblivion. Some's teeth, some's eyes, some's taste, some's everything. Well, there's a cheerful thought to end that with, isn't it? But I do like that, and it's seen very much as, remember, each one of those is the same person, I think, playing an act, playing the part for what it is, as I stand here playing this part of a preacher to the Unitarians. My next reading is by an American poet. I discovered him in an odd way, actually, because I was Googling myself, all right. I don't know if you've ever done it, but I have been known to Google myself. And my middle name is Lawrence, so I'm Paul Laurence Walker. And I just found this American poet called Paul Laurence Dunbar, you see, so, who was born and brought up in slavery, and became a great, and is still seen as the great sort of liberation poet of that period, and this is a poem called "We Wear the Mask." Maybe your opinion of me's gone down, by the way, by the fact I googled myself. I'm sure that I'm not the only one. So "We Wear the Mask" by Paul Laurence Dunbar. We wear the mask that grins and lies. It hides our cheeks and shades our eyes. This debt we pay to human guile, with torn and bleeding hearts, we smile and mouth the myriad subtleties. Why should the world be overwise in counting all our tears and sighs? Nay, let them only see us while we wear the mask. We smile, but, O great Christ, art cries, to thee from tortured souls arise. We sing, but oh, the clay is vile, beneath our feet and long the mile. But let the world dream otherwise. We wear the mask. So I wonder if we could just have a few moments of thought and prayer as we think about those masks. Who am I? For too long, I have presented myself to the world in a way I want the world to see me. For too long, I have hoped that when people have met me, they will have a particular opinion. For too long, I have feared people knowing the truth. That mask has become so much part of me that it can be hard to know what lies behind it. I even wear it alone in bed. But at times the truth comes out in dreams. Those thoughts that I cannot suppress in sleep. Let us think of the masks that people wear in order to present themselves to the world. The strong men who want you to believe that they have no fear, the Vladimir Putins, Netanyahu's, the Trumps of this world, strutting their stuff on a world stage. What are they hiding? Who must suffer because of their peacocking themselves? We think of the victims of those, usually men, who hide behind a front of respectability. But behind that, abuse. So much of that in the news recently. And we pray that we may find the courage at times to let our guard down, to let others see our vulnerabilities, and allow them to help us to build ourselves up. Help us learn to accept ourselves as we are, and not as we want others to think we are. Let us say that prayer that Jesus taught us. And as we do so, however we think of God, to be aware that God sees us as we are and accepts us as the same. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and glory, forever and ever. Here's a thought. Today I'm with you, sitting with the Unitarians in Newcastle. Next weekend, it's an old friend of mine, an old university friend of mine's 60th birthday. He's having a drinking weekend with his all-male university friends next weekend down in Hampshire. And then not the following weekend, but the weekend after that, I'm going walking with Sam, my dad, and my 15-year-old daughter. Okay. Am I going to be the same person in all those three places? How I am with you, how I am with drinking partners who I was drinking with at the age, way over drinking with at the age of 18, and how I am with my father and daughter and son, I am going to present myself very differently in all those occasions. There will clearly be similarities. But the question I want to pose to myself is, who's the real me? Now, of course, in a way, they're all the real me. But in another way, part of me will be masking. If you've ever been together, and I guess I was going to say, if you've been together with an all-male drinking buddies, there's only 4 or 5 of us who could ever have been in that position. They're always interested in football. You're interested in football, ain't you?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Oh, I don't mind talking about football for about 10 minutes, but when it goes on all bloody night, I just can't get over it. But there's also, it's all jokey, isn't it? It's all big laughing all the time. There's no one ever has a problem. It's just a big laugh and a big joke. But then again, so the language I use in that context is very different to the language I use here. And does that mean I'm hiding something? I don't think so. But do you see what I mean? We're playing a part. The way I am with you now is very different than the way I was in the car with Sam coming up here. So, and there's this whole idea that we wear masks, and I think that can be overdone actually, because I think sometimes it's right just to adapt how you are, the company you're keeping. Of course, that's right. And the other thing about wearing masks is actually to always know everything about everyone's neuroses would be a very, very exhausting thing to happen. And and some people overshare, don't they? There are times to share, of course. And funnily enough, for those of you who know, I work as a family liaison officer, so I'm working with families almost exclusively where somebody in their family has taken their own lives. So actually people are very raw in that moment, and I think people are really themselves. But nevertheless, this masking can become a problem to you but you can't hide who we really are. So I was thinking about it and I thought, okay. So if we start with the baby mewling and puking in his nurse's arms, I noticed as Shakespeare said. I'm not sure what mewling is actually. I know what puking is. It's crying, is it? So crying. So you start there, but that I don't think there's any masking going on. With the infant, there's no masking going on there, and it's quite raw, isn't it? I mean, basically, I'm happy or I'm not. And you know pretty well, you certainly know when a baby's not happy. And you, then it's your job to work out why the baby might not be unhappy. Is it the bottom end, the top end, or somewhere in between? But the baby learns very quickly, what those around it value and will reward. You see? So the baby learns that if I do this, people are nice to me. If I don't do that, people are nice to me. So they begin to learn what they have to do in order to win your favour. And that, I think, is where the masking begins. It's very young. Once they've learned how to do it, you're wrapped around their fingers fairly effectively. And then, of course, as they grow, this is the bit I quite like. They need to belong, but they don't need to belong to the family they're in. They need to belong to another group, which is another group of adolescents. And in order to belong to a group of adolescents, there is an even more powerful urge where teenagers are paradoxically finding their individuality because it's harmless, but there's an expectation that you fit into the way teenagers are. And it's often harmless enough, loose tie, ripped jeans, the latest phone. But it's odd how the rebellion against the adult world demands strict obedience to the rules of the alternative world. And also, it can have dark consequences for those who rebel against it. And that masking carries on. And I've just been thinking about the times that it happens. I mean, there's one, and I've maybe told you this before. So I was at Ushaw College, and I was looking along, and there was a list of all their principals from 1500 on, I think. So obviously it begins with paintings and turns into photographs. And I was remarking that basically until the 1960s, not a single one of those images had a smile. After the 1960s, every image had a smile. And I was noting that, and somebody must have overheard me and said, no, because it was considered, and isn't this interesting? Why would you smile for a painting? It's quite hard to hold a smile for the whole time that it takes to somebody to paint you, because you get some muscular aches in your cheeks. But more importantly, why would I smile? Because smiling is actually is normally something that happens quite briefly. But now it has become, it's the mass that we expect. Come on, everyone, smile. Smile. If you were to do it here we are at the Unitarians. Okay, we'll have a picture for the website so that we can try and attract business. Go, smile. Why? What if you don't feel like smiling? So all the records we have of ourselves are smiling. And it creates this masking image. And then when you get to social media, look at those front pages on social media. Everybody is so happy all the time, aren't they? They're out with their friends. You've often got pictures. It's not as much as it used to. It was often people at parties with a drink in their hands. But it's always somebody looking very happy. And of course, when you're on social media, you look at that image and you can't take it out of your mind. So the person whose image you're looking at, who is smiling, may at the time you're looking at that image be really miserable. But you can't get that smile out of your face. And they're living a better life than I am. Because look how happy they are. And then they go and do something stupid like put the latest meal they had on there. Really sad, aren't you, if you have to be putting what you've eaten last night on your social media. But we can't get out of it, I don't think. This idea of masking what we are, it's so part of where we are and the rules that we play by. So, I go to, I mean, look at, I'm coming in. I only come here at the most once a month. So I'm quite capable of putting on a pretense that I'm all right. And I'm not where Willie Nelson is. Don't worry, I don't go away and cry as loudly as you can imagine very often. But nevertheless, it's very easy to present as somebody who's just kind of he seems together. He seems all right. That's not hard, is it? When you only see people for an hour every month. I can do what I want with an hour a month with you lot. And then the shock of when we actually, and sometimes that mask that drops is hiding something quite, well, not just quite, exceedingly dark. Hugh Edwards. I think that the shock of Hugh Edwards is just, I mean, my wife always used to say when he came on, oh, it's Hugh. She always did it with a Welsh accent. Because you knew it was an important news, or if Hugh Edwards was fronting it, it was important. He was a kind of a face, you could trust that face. And yet we now know what lay behind it. Chuckling Mohammed Al Fayed. So sometimes the masks that we wear are actually hiding, often maybe, something really dark, really, really disgusting. But other times it's just, it's not criminal, it's not awful, it's just not what you see. And that can make us feel very inadequate, because the problem is, there's 10 of us in this room. We've all, in a way, come here with a mask on. And generally speaking, that mask is saying that we're all right. Okay? The problem is that we believe other people's masks. So when I come in and I see all 10 of you, you're all right, you're all right. I know I'm not all right. But I'm hiding it. And I believe your mask and you believe my mask. So that then makes us feel inadequate. It was described to me, and I do like this phrase, is our problem is we always compare the inside of ourselves with the outside of everybody else. I used to run at non-religious retreats in the organisation I work in for many, many years till the money dried up, and took people away for 48 hours. And always 12 people. So 12 people, when you're together for 48 hours and you're being encouraged to really strip away the mask, come on, there's no point being here if we don't say what's going on inside. And I remember at the end of one of these, somebody said, you're going to have to excuse my French here, but it only works if I tell you what she actually said. So there was that feedback at the end of the retreat, and she said, you know what, I came here and I was really, really nervous because I knew I was fucked up. But I've just spent 48 hours with you lot, and I feel so much better because I realise you're all fucked up too. And that's what happens if we ever get that moment. And again, we don't want to do it all the time with everybody because you couldn't. But I do think we need, at times, space and people we trust to talk about how it really is. And that, I think, is where the notion of God is so helpful. And again, as I said in the prayers, whether we use the word God refers to something that exists or doesn't exist, it's the notion that somewhere within ourselves, probably, there is a being which really knows how it is. There's a meditation you can do called the Eye of God. It's in Spanish, Dios, I think. And you'll be aware of what happened written down here. Yeah, blind spots and hidden strengths. So if I think again, I'm not talking about me because I'm narcissistic, because I just talking about me, because that's but so I have got, as we all have, blind spots. So things about me that I don't know. You know things about me I don't know. You know what I mean? So I'll walk out of here and someone, you might say, well, God, he's gone. You know, because I don't like the way he does this. Whatever it is, there'll be things about me, and some of them may be nice things about me. You might think, oh, he's really nice and good at that, and I don't know that. That's my blind spots. Bits about me that I don't know, but you know. But I've also got hidden strengths, things about me that I know that you don't know. There are things I might be able to be good at that you have no idea, because it doesn't come across in how I work with you. It may come across, something might happen, you say, ah, no, you could do that. I didn't know that was true. So I've got blind spots, things that you know about me that I haven't noticed, and hidden strengths, stuff inside myself that I know. But there will be things about me that I have no idea about. Only God knows. And I'm not going to find out about those until something happens that makes me find out about it. And I will tell you one I discovered, and I was pleased by this one. I might have told you this before, because it was a very profound moment in my life. I had a heart attack, I think I might have told you before, about 2019. No, yeah, 2019. And I have to carry that around with me. So that's my G, G, GTS, that's right. Glyceryl trinitrate sublingual spray. It's not fun to take it. I don't know if you've ever done it. What it does is it dilates all your blood vessels. So when you do it, you get the most stinking headache because all the blood vessels in your head happen at the same time. But anyway, when I first started taking it, and I was just adjusting to the new heart stuff, the pills, and they were having to take it down. I was getting a lot of chest pain. And this particular, I'm one of these people, I don't know whether you are, I never read labels, spray. What it actually says is spray twice, give it, if it's still there, give it 5 minutes, spray twice again, and then give it 5 minutes, spray twice again, don't do it anymore. But I thought if you got chest pain, spray it, you see. So this is what I did, I sprayed it far too much. And the result was your blood pressure drops enormously and you become quite faint and you start sweating. I didn't realise that was this. I thought I was dying. I just had a heart attack. I was told things. So there I am on the bed, sweating, becoming faint, and the room is swirling around, and everything is going kind of fuzzy. And I thought, oh, this is it. But you know what? This is the good news for me. I was all right with it. I was all right. I wasn't saying, well, hey, this is it. But I thought, well, if this is it, this is it. You know, and I was coming to terms with it. Then my wife came and explained to her. She looked at what I'd done. She knew you sprayed that too much as a nurse. Yeah, bloody idiot. And all this moment of my dying went away. But the point is, I say that because wouldn't have known that was true if that had not happened. So that was something about myself I didn't know. It may not be true now, but at that point, I was okay. And I felt better about that because one day that moment is going to come when it's real. It is going to be me and it is going to be Benito. And I'd rather have that emotion I felt then than fear, trembling, whatever else. And you do, and all of us will get that. The person who runs into a burning building, you hear people interviewed when they've done something incredibly heroic, and they had no idea at all that that was in them until the moment arrived and they did it. Or the person who, when that happens, who always imagined they'd be brave, runs away. There was a Swedish film I saw once about a family, and there's what was it called? An avalanche. And it's coming down the hill. It's just a family sitting together. The bloke in the family just runs away. And then he comes back, and of course, his wife can never accept him back because in that moment he left his family. And he is devastated that he did it himself. He had no idea that was in him. It was a really interesting examination of the film. But the notion of God is one who does know those things, the good and the bad. Whatever there is in us is known. And I like that idea. And so when I'm not sure where I am on the kind of existence of God or not. I'm not even sure it matters very much. I certainly don't think if there is a God, he's that bothered about us worshipping him or anything like that. But I do like the idea, if I sit alone, that there is something from which I can't hide. I can't pretend. Dimming the flame lets memory rest. Dimming the flame lets love grow again. Dimming the flame sets life free to live. Dimming the flame lets all go in peace. I can't dim the flame. Go from here and be yourselves. Amen.